A bead of sweat trickles down the bridge of my nose until I can taste the salt of my body on my lips. My eyes close, and in an instant I am standing alone on a dirt track with a 45-pound rucksack clinging to my back, 31 kilometers into an Army Ironman race. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? I can just sit down. I put one foot in front of the other. I close my eyes, and I'm in a hospital room. I'm 19 years old. How am I going to be a father? I cannot even take care of myself. I'm the first human being my son sees as he enters this world. I am in love, and will find a way to protect and provide for this beautiful little human. I shut my eyes and keep them closed a little longer. This time as I open them, the sweat is everywhere, and so is the dust. I am in the desert. The thumping sound of a helicopter fills my ears just enough to almost mute the screams of a wounded soldier. I am scared, one foot in front of the other. I open my eyes again. The sweat is real. I did not imagine it. The enemy is in front of me, lit screen entrenched on my desk. An essay is half typed so naturally that I erase it. It is not good enough, I think. I should quit. Why bother at my age? My fingers start to move across the keyboard. I am still scared. I always am now, as my mind refuses to allow me a day of peace. One foot in front of the other. Personal success has two parts to it: the way in which one measures and defines success, and the achievement of that ideal. To some, the yardstick with which one measures their own success might need to be moved many times before they are satisfied. For another, it may simply mean finishing an essay in which the topic of discussion is success. The achievement of these individualistic ideals is done nonetheless using the same method. Never quit, for the moment you do, success becomes an unattainable ideal. My own personal success is measured not by my own failures and grand accomplishments, but by the small daily wins and learned lessons of those under my patronage. Undoubtedly, the day I decided to leave my academic pursuits behind and close my high school chapter one semester short of graduation is a day that I consider a failure. How naive to think that the statistics would overlook an 18-year-old male high school dropout. Life has been a chess match against statistical odds ever since. Roughly 80% of incarcerated inmates are high school dropouts. Additionally, the average high school dropout will live statistically below the low-income measurement line for the entirety of their statistically shortened lifespan, incur debt at a rate higher than those with post-secondary educations, struggle with interpersonal relationships and addictions issues. Moreover, they will statistically have a higher rate of depression and struggle with mental health issues, as will their offspring that are likely to come at a younger age. Statistically, financial, emotional, vocational, and personal success in life for a dropout is hard-won and not likely. I returned to school with dreams of academic success at 19 years old to an adult education center, carrying with me a backpack full of statistical failure. I was poor and working menial kitchen jobs whilst in debt, attempting to remain clean from drugs and alcohol while preparing to have my first child with my teenage girlfriend, whom I had been dating for all of 3 months. I successfully completed 2 credits before being forced with the decision to choose to follow my child's mother to Ontario with her family or stay behind to work to complete school in Nova Scotia. I dropped out of school for the second time and felt that I had failed again academically, but I believed I was succeeding personally in taking steps to be a supportive partner and a young father. Balanced against the moments of my life wherein pride and success have amalgamated into human emotion, the moment I witnessed the birth of my first son is rivaled only by the waterborne delivery of his brother years later. Statistically, a teenage father does not live with the child, and 8 out of 10 fathers do not marry the mother. I, on the other hand, did both. I moved to Ontario, where I rented a basement granny flat for my soon-to-be father-in-law, and moved in with a pregnant teenage girl. I had absolutely no idea of how to be a domestic partner, a supportive father to an expecting mother, and a breadwinner of a young family. I quickly gained employment as a line cook at a local pub, earning $9.50 an hour. I worked 60 to 80 hours a week, and with every paycheck I would purchase a box of diapers to store in the pantry that I would later turn into my child's nursery. It was just large enough for a crib and a rocking chair, but yet I felt I had succeeded in providing for both the mother and child, albeit with the emotional and financial assistance and proximity of my in-laws. However, I was personally failing myself. Lacking intimate details of a past marriage, it is best to sum up my relationship with my child's mother as toxic. Even in those first beautiful and chaotic years, and instead of shouldering my own responsibility, it was easier to blame her for our failing relationship. Additionally, I realized that I was too hard for too little, and that my life dreams and ambitions were not be successfully realized in the depths of Friar Number 2. I was miserable at home and becoming increasingly more hostile in the few hours I was spending at home awake. I was a high school dropout with no post-secondary education, few skills besides tapping kegs and dicing celery, and was without direction in my life. I turned to an avenue with many and most men in my family do. I had grown up the son of a naval officer and knew that there was great sacrifice in serving. I would be able to provide the support and financial means for the success and well-being of my family. I did not want my son to reflect the statistic wherein the offspring of teenage parents often too fall below the low-income measurement line. On top of that, I would be able to achieve a level of socially deemed success, a measurement of pride and confidence, and perhaps shake the inadequate feelings I had towards having never achieved academically. I believed that this venture would contribute to my overall success and to that of my family. I could not do a single push-up, and my AAA hockey days of being athletically gifted were long gone. I immersed myself with drive and passion into several fitness programs while maintaining the same work schedule and attempting desperately to be a father and a partner. It was brutal. I was hungry, tired, sore, and exhausted all the time. Experiences and conditioning that I knew would serve me well in the frontline infantry, the military trade I wished to successfully join. Although I grew stronger, faster, and happier with my own physical success, my relationship with my child's mother continued to decline. So naturally, I proposed marriage to her in an attempt to save our union and recreate the nuclear family of my youth. We collectively returned to Nova Scotia as extended family, her father having decided to return home, where I married a teenage bride and moved her and my son into a new house before shipping off to basic training, the newest recruit in the Canadian Infantry Corps. Success and failure in the Army is black and white, as one would expect from an institution known for its high attrition rate. If you cannot run, you do not pass. If you cannot do push-ups, you do not pass. If you cannot iron your shirts, make your bed, read a map, shoot a rifle, triangulate declination, and eat fast, you do not pass. I was achieving a level of professional success that I had never thought possible. Basic training was over in a heartbeat. It was not until battle school where the real possibility of failure reared its ugly head. 8-kilometer runs turned into 18 kilometers. 100 push-ups turned into a 500 a day. The march is longer, the standards higher, and the exhaustion seeped into every fiber of my body. I was injured, sick, and refused to quit. My successful completion of infantry battle school came 9 months after I had left my wife and child. The cap badge of the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry was placed on my beret, following a regimental toast, and I was the proudest I had been vocationally in my life. My failure to complete high school and my crumbling relationship seemed so far away, both mentally and physically. It was not until my son and wife relocated to Edmonton, my first posting, that I was forced to recognize that all was not well with my marriage. I did nothing about it, nor was there time allotted for healing. My road to war had begun, and my unit, the 1st Battalion of the PPCLI, participated in many training exercises, as it would be our unit leading the spearhead in Panjwai, Kandahar Province, Afghanistan, for the upcoming rotation. We deployed to theater in the early autumn of 2009. I was attached as a light machine gunner to Delta Company, where over the next 6 months we would sustain all Canadian killed in action. There are those with the Canadian public that feel as though the Kandahar mission in Afghanistan was a failure. However, any amount of military or humanitarian success in the Afghanistan war is nearly impossible to gauge from the bureaucratic manner. The way in which I regard my rotation with success is this. When we pushed in to the Taliban birthplace, the children were not allowed to play outside. By the time we were due to rotate home, there were kites in the sky and soccer games played on dusty fields. Daily, we successfully removed several improvised explosive devices that could potentially kill or maim both soldier and civilian alike from the dusty ground. We conducted humanitarian tasks on top of combat missions. We provided for security, children attending school. Any chance to sleep came with a sense of pride and accomplishment in the soldier that I was. I was actively engaged in my chosen profession, and proud of myself and the men and women that I was fortunate enough to serve with. Alas, what I did not realize is that the years of failing in my spouse relationship was about to halt my war early, and the reverberations will be felt for a generation of my family to come. Major depressive disorder. persistent depressive disorder, anxiety disorder, operational stress injury, adjustment disorder, fused vertebrae, slip discs, nerve and ligament damage to right ankle, left, right knee injuries, hearing loss in combat, right elbow ligament damage, medical release from the Canadian Forces, 06 June 2019. The words on the legal-sized government stamp pages of my personal medical release file evoke the mental images of the past 8 years. Beautiful, shimmering, and soaring personal and familial highs, successes achieved simply by moving forward one day at a time, to the lowest and most terribly dark failures of my life thus far. I was staring at the most dangerous piece thus far in my statistic grudge match. Flashes of the faces of my peers who have committed suicide, have developed crippling addictions, police records, succumbed to lethargy, or have placed themselves unwillingly in group homes. I had already begun to use marijuana as a self-medicating coping mechanism. And although there was a temporary relief, my choices and habits were failing me while I tried desperately to succeed as a parent. The phone call made post-combat engagement with suspected Taliban in the desert Kandahar to Nova Scotia in an attempt to reach my first wife resulted in an immediate helicopter evacuation, followed by a solo reunion with my son in Halifax, Nova Scotia. I was awarded sole custody and became an overnight divorced single father. It took 3 years of rehab for her to beat her addictions. After a year in Edmonton coping with the loss of my marriage, the combat deaths of one of my best friends, and 4 other company peers, I was posted for CDTC Meaford in Ontario and married my platoon medic from Afghanistan. Her young son and daughter became my stepchildren, where I was the primary father figure. Soon our blended family added a 4th child, my youngest son, whom I delivered with my own hands in our family tub. Today he lives with his mother and I under the auspices of a shared custody agreement, my second marriage in a decade resulting in the same outcome, divorce. As quickly as the love came, so did the mental health and physical issues of our entire family. The diagnosis list for 3 children of combat vets with tours, for as the father of my stepchildren was also deployed to Afghanistan, and that of my wife and I read like a copy of the Diagnostic and Statistic Manual 5. I can only claim responsibility for myself, and to lay blame elsewhere does nothing to allow for individual growth. Therefore, I must admit to myself that I was failing at home again, and as a consequence in cyclical action, I was failing now in my vocation. My second wife left the Army medically shortly after the home birth and started her own business with that while continuing her ongoing treatment. I spent years failing and falling into my own mental traps and bouts of serious depression as I struggled to maintain a military career, be a husband to a mentally injured veteran turned businesswoman, and domestic father of 4 children. My second divorce came to me as my spouse left, followed very quickly by the notification of my medical termination from the Canadian Forces. On that day, my qualifications, earned over 12 years of service, will be rendered void, as the hiring of machine gunners released from mental health disorder are practically non-existent. I am considered to have limited disabilities by Veterans Affairs Department of Canada, and I'm a high school dropout struggling to achieve his final credits. I have successfully beaten addictions while falling into others. My health is declining, and my fitness level is a poor excuse of a former Ironman competition, and I stand again on the precarious edge of financial ruin. 2 divorces in such a short period of time will do that to a man. My personal success is no longer measured by financial success, battlefield glory, marriages, or of championing my body over physical obstacles. I must remind myself not to quit, not to give in every day to the statistical war it feels like I am losing. I know that the success can only be achieved by moving forward, even while failing. If you're failing, you're still trying. Today, the measurement of my success is an improved mark on my child's report card due to hard work from him and active parenting on my part. It is a smile of one as they learn how to snowplow stop on skates, land a skateboard trick, or read their first big kid book. Today, as it has been for a week, my ideal of success is to write a few lines on my grade 12 English essay. I have changed dramatically from the confident warrior I once was. There is only one way I can find success in a like fashion. Never give up, never quit, day after day, 1 foot front of the other.